Hey fellow babies, welcome back to Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. I'm Michael Pachter, your host. We are especially thankful for the patronage from our Patreon patrons, thank you, and from our YouTube subscribers. You guys are getting this real time. We also offer the content real time to anybody who's a Twitch Prime member who can remember to link their Twitch Prime account to their Amazon Prime account. There's instructions in the show description below, but you've got to do that every so often, every month or so. So if you're watching this and you haven't done it in a while, please check out the instructions. Pretty easy, a couple of clicks and you'll be linked. It costs you nothing and you get our content real time. So Amazon is gonna pay for it. You're already paying for this as part of Amazon Prime. Stick it to them, make them pay for it. Our question today from SIFTD from Allison. Hi Michael, hi Allison. Longtime listener, first time caller. By the way, Elvis Costello, My Aim Is True. Love that song, Allison. Why is game development taking so long right now? Whew. With all the advancements we have in engines and making it more accessible for people to make games, why is it taking longer than ever to make a video game? Instead of all this talk about graphic fidelity, why can't these game engines make games easier to make? Do you see a future where development time actually shrinks instead of endlessly extending? What would it take? Really good question. Super complicated answer because everything is just game specific. But if a game was just a single player game, if the formula was the same for every iteration, so let's go with Madden football, right? Doesn't take a long time. I mean, Madden comes out every year. It's probably multiple teams that work on the feature set, so it's probably 3 years, maybe. Call of Duty comes out every year. It's 3 different teams, 3 years. And because they come out every year, they're very efficient. Like one team does all the weapons, one team does all the vehicles. You reskin the vehicles and the weapons based on the period. But the driving mechanics, you don't have 3 different teams working on driving mechanics because you don't need to. A lot of people work on character animation and they use the assets. It's great. So there is an efficiency, and 3 years is the right number. But then you get into Grand Theft Auto, and there's an argument about when they started work on it, but let's be real. The last one came out September 2013. They started work on this in October of 2013. So it started, somebody started thinking about it, if nothing else. And so here we are, we're 11 years in, and it's coming out next year, so let's call it 12 years. What takes 12 years? Ambitiously, it takes a lot to do 4 different open worlds. It's just hard. And we'll see if they do. They may have decided too ambitious, we can't do it. Who knows? But the truth is, and using Rockstar as an example, the Rockstar guys are righteously proud of their work. Like, they deserve to be proud of it because they make the best games ever. And they challenge themselves. Good is not good enough. Every game has to be great and greater than the one before. And so how do you make a game better than GTA 5, which took effectively 6 years to develop? How do you make it better? You spend 12. That's an exaggeration, but that's what's going on. And it's not that the game engine allows it to be simpler. It's that the game is bigger and they want to do more. And there's arguments about whether GTA has 30 hours of content or 300 hours of content, but whatever it's got 200 levels, 200 missions. This next one will have 300 missions, or 4, or 5. I don't even know. And my guess is it'll never run out of missions because they'll expand it to GTA Online and keep coming up with new content. So these guys are really, really ambitious. The other reason that game development takes so long is that the publishers have stopped making small games. And so it's really hard to greenlight a game. We've kind of weeded out all of the ancillary 5 million unit and smaller sellers, and everybody's trying to make 10 million unit blockbusters. And so you just don't have as many projects being worked on. And the team size has doubled, which makes it harder to get the game done. And the productivity there, everybody presses themselves to do more. So I think that the exceptions to this are like Insomniac with the Spider-Man Miles Morales stuff. Like those things took 2 years. Like, it's amazing to me, and really high quality. So you get these studios that just get their shit together and they're just really good, and stuff comes out. And the flip side of that is not Rockstar, but BioShock was announced in 2019, and it said several more years in development. Well, the 5th year anniversary of that announcement is coming up like next month, and it's not coming next year. We would have heard about it. We heard about Mafia and Borderlands and GTA. It's not coming next year. So that'll be 6 years. Next year, 7 years for BioShock. And again, I'm sure it's going to be great, but that's a long time. Why? Because guess what? The last BioShock was freaking awesome. And this studio wants to make sure this game is freaking awesome. So again, Borderlands is actually coming out on a more compressed schedule. It surprised me when they announced it. Mafia, it feels like a long time since the last one, but the last one sucked and they canceled one in between. So this is kind of a extension of the last one, and it's old world, old country, whatever it's called. It looks good. But it varies based on the IP and based on the content and based on the team skill and pride. And so the more skilled the team, the more righteously proud they are. And so I would say Elder Scrolls, go ahead and take 15 years, I don't care. I mean, by the time it comes out, it will have been 15 years more. Worth it, like nobody ever said Avatar, which did $2 billion box office, wasn't worth it. Of course it was. Grand Theft Auto, take 15 years, worth it. So I think that the stakes are so high that these guys are willing to spend the extra time, and I think there is a happy medium, and I would really like to see more games come out every 3 years. I don't want to see annual franchises, but I think the world is better. Like, Nintendo seems to have gotten the balance right. Like, their average is 5 years, not for Mario Kart. When's the last Mario Kart? I think 10 years ago. Why does that take so long? I don't know. But Smash Brothers came out relative, I think, a 5-year schedule. Zelda, 5-year, I think. They've been pretty good about getting their content out. And Nintendo's probably a good proxy for what everybody should strive to do, because Nintendo games are really great. The tools question is a good one, because obviously it's very easy to develop games, and especially Unreal's great. If you're EA and you're using Frostbite or any other engine, Rage at Rockstar, the engine part's not the hard part. So you're right. I mean, they can do anything they want, but I think it's more internally driven than externally driven, but expectations are higher. I remember answering a Pachter Factor question a few months ago. Did Elden Ring break the mold and set expectations so high that every game's got to be a 97? And the answer is no, not among consumers, but yeah, among reviewers. They see stuff that's just the perfect game, and now they expect perfection in everything. And I've watched review scores kind of degrade over time. Like, good games, what used to be really, really good games, get 75s now. And I used to say I won't play anything under an 80. Now I say I won't play anything under a 75. Like, to me, 75 is good enough because there'll be something in the game that I really like. And again, we're seeing this far more frequently than they have in the past. Astrobot, what did I get, 95? It shocked me. Like, it is really great, but it shocked me what the reviews were on that game. And I thought people would be critical of it, and apparently the studio lived up to the hype, and Nintendo does it all the time. So I think that the bar has just been raised, and I think the bar has been raised by reviewers. I don't think the bar has been raised by consumers. I don't see them outright rejecting games that get 80s, but reviewers, yes. And I think the publishers all the development teams get compensated in part based on Metacritic scores. So it matters. They want to see high scores. And, is a high score a guarantee of high sales? Ask Tim Schafer at Psychonauts, whatever, what was he called? I don't know, Tim Schafer's. Double Fine. Yeah, Double Fine. Psychonauts got a 92 and sold like 1 million units. So there's plenty of 90 rated games that don't sell well, but he still got his bonus because he made game in the 90s. I think it's great for consumers that the publishers, developers have high expectations and drive strive to do more. I don't know if you're finding that you don't have enough to do in gameplay, because what we're also seeing is that people play a game for a year instead of for a month or two, because the DLC and not DLC, the ongoing in-app stuff, the live services, is so intense that you keep going and keep going. And so we have something to do always. And so there are just fewer games being sold, and so they are taking longer to make sure that you buy their game. Thanks for joining us on Pachter Factor. Again, if you are a Patreon patron or a YouTube subscriber, we very much appreciate your patronage. If you can, please link your Twitch Prime account to your Amazon Prime account. You will be sticking it to Amazon. You have already paid them. They took your money, and they're going to give some of it to us if you just remember to link those accounts. So do it, because Shane needs to buy gas. He's not going to be able to get home tonight in traffic for 2 hours unless you get him at least a gallon of gas. So thank you again for joining us. We will see you next week.